Hey y'all, it's Curt Critics. I'm here to review the second season of Punisher. It stars John Bernthal, Amber Rose Reva, Ben Barnes, Georgia Wigman, who plays Amy, another newcomer, Josh Stewart, he plays Pilgrim, and also stars Florina Lima. Now, obviously, this takes place after the first season. I don't know when it takes place, coinciding with Daredevil season 3, but it's not relevant to the story. You do see Karen, but just mention Daredevil in passing. It starts off with old Frank Castle going as Pete because last time his information was changed, so he was now considered a deceased man. So he was able to get away with a lot of shit that happened last season. So he's now trying to live a more simple life, just going just traveling across the American landscape just a little bit. He bumps into a waitress, a bartender named Beth, who's being harassed by this one dude, and he checks him, and before you know it, Beth and Frank are banging each other, and he also meets this chick's kid named Rex, who wants to get pancakes. And this kid, I really like his dynamic with Frank, and he just flat out asked them why he's eating pancakes. Did you have sex last night? And I'm just like, oh my god! And this kid's supposed to be 8 and shit. The other character that we meet around this time is Amy, and Amy is this runaway teen, and we don't know why in the beginning why she's running away. But at first, we just know her as racial. She's trying to not have people know her actual information. Punisher gets really bad bar fight, trying to protect her because there's hitmen and all that shit, and they try to get her. And Frank, he was trying to stay out of this violent shit, but before you know it, he's cracking necks and stabbing people in the legs and shit. You know how it goes. The name is Punisher. You gotta punish some people, okay? That's just how it fucking goes. Unfortunately, Beth gets shot in the shoulder and she has to be taken to the hospital. Frank rushes her there, and he just up and out, and he's keeping an eye on Amy to make sure she's not going to be attacked again. And so they get a 2-bed motel room, and she's trying to escape shortly after removing a bullet out of his ass, and he's like, nope, that's not safe. Not safe. And he ties her fucking hands to fucking bedposts with zip tie. He just falls asleep. One great thing about this season in particular is that I think Frank has more aggressive straight man humor to him. He's just so angry and pissed off, and he just takes care of things in just snap like that. And he just frequently doesn't have much sympathy for a lot of people. I think it's a lot of times it makes me get a real chuckle out of it. But Billy Russo is back. He's now in a psychiatric ward. Last time he got his face fucked up, and now his face is still fucked up. But he keeps having horrifying flashback of the skull, and seeing the skull on Frank's chest when he attacked him back when he shot Medina in the head and just grazed her. She's also back, and she's suffering post-traumatic stress disorder. Billy is being treated by Dr. Dumont, and he wears a mask that has, it's all jagged puzzle pieces because, he's Jigsaw. And I thought that was a good way to bring in, the comic book, comparisons with his character, not just having a few scars on his face. Because, honestly, his scars, like when you look at him, like, okay, that's not that bad. Okay, you can work with that. It's not as horrifying as they start off in the comics where the face is just mangled to all hell. But he's filled with a lot of pain, resentment. He doesn't know why he's upset. He doesn't really understand how Frank went after him. He's still trying to unravel all this information. He's trying to get his memories back. And eventually he breaks out of saturated ward with the help of Dr. Dumont. And yeah, now he's going to be wrecking fucking shop. And Frank's like, I can't deal with that shit, so I gotta get on that. I need to fuck him up. He may have been my brother one day, but this time he's my fucking enemy. So, Punisher and Amy end up getting caught by the police when they were fighting in Larkville, Ohio, because Hitman is still after Amy, and she doesn't know it. She's not like Frank. She doesn't want to hurt people. She's not equipped to knowing how to use guns. And none of that shit. She doesn't have the war type mentality that Frank constantly has. He's constantly being thrown back into it. Like 1 minute, he's trying to be, caring and just take care of himself or find a nice lady, and bam, he's just going raw, just killing people. He can't avoid it. So we find out that these hitmen are working under a dude named John. His last name is Pilgrim, and oddly enough, he acts very much like a missionary type. He has a very traditional type clothing. He talks a lot about God and the Bible. But then again, he's like carrying around fucking AR-15s and shit. Fucking people up. There's a standstill at the police precinct where Amy and Frank the Punisher are apprehended at. Showdown, people get shot at, and Frank gets opportunity to kill some hitmen that are working directly for Pilgrim, but he decides not to, just run away. So the sheriff sees, okay, I do have some trust for you. You're still fucking crazy, but I'll give you this leeway. I'll just turn my head away when Dina Madani shows up, and she shows up in her helicopter because she works for the Homeland Security and shit. So he's able to be taken away, dropped over into New York at her apartment, and along with Amy, and he's able to operate all this Punisher shit from there. Billy finds Dr. Dumont's fucking apartment in New York as well, and he starts living there, and he's still fucking crazy, and there's no way around it. Even he admits that he's fucking crazy. And before you know it, he starts fucking doinking Dr. Dumont, and they have a very pretty disturbing but also kind of heartfelt relationship where should be sympathetic to this dude. And when he almost loses Dr. Dumont to fight with Dina Madani when she's trying to look into the information, you actually feel bad, and that's what they did great with Billy Bruce's character. They really upped out his character, and they really made him sympathetic in a way. And a lot of it goes to the performances between these two. Florida Lima is really good as Dr. Dumont, and Ben Barnes is they have a lot of good albeit disturbing chemistry between each other. But eventually, Brett Mahoney, who is from the Daredevil show, he starts looking into what Dina Madani's doing, and he's not approving because he's like, he's a vigilante, and he just fucking kills people and shit. And Dina keeps on saying, well, he has a code. He's not going to kill a police officer. He's not going to hurt women and children. And that is really tested in Punisher, because when he tries to go after Billy and his new veteran bros that wear masks too, they're like robbing people and shit. He's tested because he thinks that he kills innocent women, and he starts thinking of himself as a monster. He sees himself as no different than Billy Russo. And one thing that this show gets fucking crazy with is just like last season, the violence is gratuitous, but it always serves a purpose. They're not just killing to kill, but when they do it, the style they do it with is it's visceral. You feel it. When bone breaks, you feel it. When bullets are being shot, you're like, oh shit, goddamn. It also goes to there's pretty good sound cutting that's going on. Usually they get it with high up like score. It has a lot of guitar riffs, and a lot of it goes to the way that they frame things. When they want you to feel worried, they have some small sporadic cuts here and there, but it doesn't feel like, oh god, you're trying too much. It doesn't feel like that. But we also start getting some backstory of Pilgrim and why he's like this. He's attached to a very rich German family. He is a former skinhead, and he actually gets a big fight with some skinheads, and ends up teeth stabbed in his head and shit, and shotgun wounds and shit. He starts losing his connection to who he is now, as reformed Christian man, and he ends up getting head from a prostitute and shit, and he gets horrified because he starts seeing his wife in her face and tells her to leave, and his wife is very sick, and before you know it she dies, and he feels like he took too long on this mission that his parents put him on, and now he's going to lose, not only does he lose his wife, but he's going to lose the custody of his children to his parents. And I'm like, wow, that's really impressive. And the fact that, Frank goes after Billy Russo and, kills him, but probably the most heartfelt, but also, when he kills him, it's some of the funniest shit ever. But, because he just does it with no remorse. But the way that the story ends, even after Frank and Pilgrim had slogged to fuck each other, hitting each other with fucking chains and metal shit in the junkyard, and just bloody drag out. When Frank had his parents die and had Pilgrim reconnect with his children, they went their separate ways, and I'm like, wow, that's that shows character growth. Probably one of my favorite, arcs is Amy, the girl that's kind of tagged along to the story, who starts off, not knowing how to hold a gun, and before you know it, she becomes, just a little bit of a badass. And, the connection that, that Frank and her have, and the way he sticks his neck out a lot so she's not harmed is beautiful. And when they finally say goodbye, in the last episode, and they're hugging each other, and you even see Frank get teary-eyed. I'm like, wow, that's that's great right there. But yeah, there's so much great in this season that I think this definitely rivals Even my favorite show in all these Marvel Netflix, which is Daredevil. Dare I might say that this one season might cut in between for me the third and second season of Daredevil. That's how much I liked it. Like, there was moments where I was jumping up. There was moments I was laughing. There was moments I felt like I might shed a tear here, but it never quite got me there. And everything's pretty tight in the show. Like, when they go back to something, they make sure they go back to it. It was a little weird for me just to watch it, the one time, and I'm just like, when are they gonna get back to Pilgrim? Okay, when are they gonna go back to Beth? And like, they completely forgot about Beth. I always showed her one more time. Like, I was kind of hoping that the end of the series, we would see that she's completely fine, and she's still taking care of her kid. And maybe like Frank gives her like some flowers and says, I'm sorry, I can't do this. I need to go back into fighting. But like, I understand. Yeah, that's the only thing I wish that was in this season, because so many great moments, so many great characters. I really like seeing the relationship between even Madani and Punisher, and I like seeing Karen again. I still really enjoy her character, and yeah, this season was pretty fucking awesome. I don't know what else to say. And I was very happy to see that the first thing to show in the credits of the last episode was. It said something like in the loving memory of Stan Lee. I'm like, and when I saw that, I fucking clapped my hands. I'm just like, yes. I mean, I know it just, they popped it up right when like a bunch of like gang people like got shut up, but we wouldn't be talking about this show if it wasn't for Stan. We wouldn't be talking about Marvel. We definitely wouldn't have Karen Page. Or definitely not in the way that it is today. So, Stan Lee, Stan's the fucking man. You already know it. As far as the Christmas critics, I love you. Tell me what you think. I'd like to hear what you say.